Hey guys, welcome to our third and final lesson in our A1 Biology tutorial series on how to memorize content for bio. Okay, I want you guys to really understand the power of knowing your content well. You see, bio is a content-heavy subject, which is why I say when you've learned and memorized the content well, you've already won more than half of the battle. So we know it's important, right? But how do we actually memorize the content? It's so difficult. Okay, not to worry because I'm showing you how to memorize the content, and I'll even share a couple of memory hacks that will come in very useful for you. Ready? Okay, let's go straight in. The first step is to really understand your content and clarify all the concepts you're not sure of. Okay, let's be honest, there are some students who don't fully know what they're memorizing. They have doubts about certain concepts, but they just try and ignore it and memorize by brute force. Okay, this method is a recipe for disaster and will surely not work for long-term memory. On the other hand, when you really understand something well, it leads to memory formation. So don't skip this step. It actually makes memorizing bio easier. Okay, the next step, once you've really understood the content, is to use two-step memory retrieval. And the way you want to do that is by using memory shortcuts. What most students typically do is this. When they see a question, they try and recall all the details of the content immediately. This takes a lot of brain power and it's very difficult. Okay, instead, what we want to do is use two-step memory retrieval. So you think of something easy to remember, then this gives you clues and helps you recall the rest of the details. Okay, and one way to do this is by using an acronym. Question: what are the homeostatic responses of the body when body temperature is too low? Say that you've learned an acronym, MASH. Okay, that helps you remember these responses. From there, then you can proceed to recall what each of the letters stand for. Okay, so M stands for metabolic rate. In this case, it will increase so that more heat is produced from aerobic respiration. A stands for the arterioles in the skin. What will they do? They will constrict and decrease the blood flow to the capillaries in the skin surface so that less heat is lost through conduction, convection, and radiation. The sweat glands will secrete less sweat so that less water in the sweat evaporates, removing less latent heat from the body. And H stands for hair erector muscles. They will contract, causing the hairs to stand up and trap a layer of air above the skin. And this is a poor conductor of heat, so it prevents further heat loss. So as you can see, using an acronym makes it so much easier to recall all our content knowledge rather than trying to go straight into all these details. Let's look at another one. Question: what are the enzymes secreted by the pancreas? So there's actually an acronym that we can use, which is LAT, also pronounced LAT. Pancreatic lipase, next is pancreatic amylase, and T stands for trypsin. Okay, so these three enzymes are secreted into the first portion of the small intestine called the duodenum, and they all function at around pH 7 to pH 9. Other than acronyms, we can also use mnemonics. Okay, and what are these? Let me show you some examples. So question: describe the events that occur in the eye when focusing on a far object. The mnemonic for this is cat, scratch, ladder, furniture. So we look at the first letter of each word. C stands for ciliary muscles, S suspensory ligaments, L is lens shape, and then F is focal length. So let's try and put this in an answer. Okay, the answer will be ciliary muscles will relax, and this causes the suspensory ligaments to become taut. The lens becomes less convex, increasing its focal length. And as a result, this is a concluding statement. Distant light rays are focused sharply on the retina. Do you see how useful mnemonics can be? Okay, let's look at another mnemonic. Question: describe the events that occur in negative feedback. Okay, and the mnemonic we can use is sneaky rabbit chews non-stop. So S stands for stimulus, and the stimulus is the event that disrupts homeostasis. R is receptor. Okay, this is the thing that detects the stimulus. C stands for corrective mechanism. So it will remove the stimulus. So example, if it was an increase in body temperature, then the mechanisms would cause a decrease in body temperature. And once it removes the stimulus, right, this will restore the normal condition, also known as the set point. Once normal condition is restored, the corrective mechanisms will stop. Okay, number 3, other than acronyms and mnemonics, we can use fake logic memory hacks. Now, what is this, right? I'll show you what I mean very soon. So, how do you remember in what scenarios would the ciliary muscles contract? Okay, so what we can use here is a fake logic memory hack. When you look near, you are so-called straining your eyes, right? So the ciliary muscles, you can remember, they are contracting. When you look far, you are so-called relaxing your eyes. So ciliary muscles are relaxing. Okay? This is not scientific at all. It's not even a real logical reason. But since we commonly associate looking near to straining our eyes, we can use this to trick our minds into remembering the correct things. And that is that when looking near, ciliary muscles will contract. Okay? Let's look at another example. So how do you remember the difference between anabolic and catabolic reactions? Okay, to refresh your memory, right, anabolic means smaller molecules are joined together to form larger molecules, and catabolic is the opposite. A larger molecule is broken into smaller molecules. So how can we remember this? Okay, I'm assuming everyone has watched the Disney movie Frozen, right? And in this movie, the Ice Queen's sister is called Anna. So she always wants to build a snowman, correct? So we can remember that Anna equals building and anabolic equals to smaller molecules joining to form larger molecules. Okay, and then catabolic reactions will be the opposite. So I know that this is pretty ridiculous, but it's precisely because it's weird and funny that makes it so easy to remember. So I hope you can see that from this tutorial, there are so much better ways to memorize bio than just brute force memorizing. In the video description, you'll also find the resources for this video, which is a summary of the key points that I've mentioned. Plus, I've also included a cheat sheet of all these memory shortcuts that I've gone through with you in there as well. Here are the action items. Go and identify the parts of the content which you can't recall. Okay, and then make sure you really understand them before you attempt to memorize them. Go and learn the memory shortcuts that I've provided you. And if you have your own way of memorizing them, you don't have to use mine, okay? It's not a hard and fast rule. You can also try and come up with your own acronyms and mnemonics. And this works for even other subjects as well, especially content-heavy ones. Lastly, go and experiment with ways to make your own fake logic memory shortcuts. And this one can be very fun and unique. Okay, remember, the more funny it is, the easier it is to remember. So that's all for this lesson. Go ahead and apply what you've learned and let me know how it goes.